The Buddha sat beneath the ancient Bodhi tree, his eyes calm and steady, observing the anxious faces of his disciples. A monk approached him, bowing deeply, before speaking with hesitation. "Master, my mind feels restless, burdened by endless thoughts." The Buddha smiled gently, gesturing for the monk to sit nearby. "Tell me, Ananda, what causes this restlessness?" Ananda, the monk, spoke earnestly. "Master, the world overflows with voices and opinions, each pulling my attention in different directions." The Buddha nodded, his expression serene. "Ananda, your mind is like a lake, stirred into chaos by winds of distractions. There was once a farmer," the Buddha said, his hands gesturing with grace, emphasizing each layer of the tale. "This farmer," he continued, "found his crops destroyed one morning, ravaged by wild animals during the night. Master, how can I calm the winds within my mind?" Ananda asked, his tone heavy with longing for clarity. The Buddha gestured to a nearby stream. "Do you see the water flowing, carrying both clarity and silt together?" "Yes, Master. The stream flows unendingly, bringing fresh water but also debris from upstream," Ananda replied thoughtfully. The Buddha explained further, "Like the stream, life brings constant experiences and knowledge. Yet not all of it serves you. Master, how do I determine what serves me and what does not?" Ananda asked, eyes searching for guidance. The Buddha reached for a leaf floating in the stream. "Observe the leaf, Ananda, as it follows the current naturally. It resists neither flow nor stillness," he continued, finding its place effortlessly, yet moving with the stream's wisdom. "My friends," the elder began, "have you considered what has truly happened here and whom this anger will serve?" The farmer, startled by the elder's composed demeanor, found himself pausing, his fury momentarily subdued by curiosity. The elder continued, "Anger is like a fire." The Buddha looked toward the horizon. "Ananda, resisting creates turbulence within. Allow your thoughts to flow without clinging or pushing them away." Ananda lowered his gaze, considering the Buddha's words. "Master, does this mean we should accept all thoughts, even troubling ones?" The Buddha smiled gently. "Acceptance is not indulgence. It is acknowledgement without attachment. Like clouds drifting through an open sky, allowing the clouds to pass," he added, "creates the space for the sun of clarity to shine upon the landscape." "But Master," I asked hesitantly, "what if anger spills out before the pause, damaging others with words unmeant?" The Buddha's smile widened slightly, a knowing glimmer in his eye, as though he'd anticipated this question before it came. "When water spills," he said, "we do not leave it to evaporate alone. Focus on a single drop. All storms are made of smaller drops. When overwhelmed, simplify," the Buddha advised. "Choose one thought, one action, and move mindfully. The storm will dissolve into clarity." Ananda closed his eyes, breathing deeply, as if practicing the Buddha's teachings in that very moment. "I will try this, Master." The Buddha glanced around at the other disciples. "Each of you carries this same challenge, and this same potential for peace." A younger disciple hesitated before speaking. "Master, when I hear too much information, my mind feels like it is drowning." The Buddha considered the disciple's words before responding. "Imagine a great river. The river carries life but can overwhelm if its flow is uncontrolled. How does one control the river, Master?" the young disciple asked, his voice tinged with curiosity and desperation. The Buddha leaned forward slightly. "I accompanied the Buddha, my mind troubled by a quarrel I had witnessed between two brothers during our previous journey. Their heated words had planted deep roots of bitterness, their bond unraveling under the weight of distrust and harsh speech." "Channels, Master?" the disciple questioned, tilting his head. "What do you mean by channels?" Channels are boundaries of your attention, the Buddha explained. Direct the flow where it serves you, without attempting to stop it entirely. The disciples exchanged glances, murmuring softly amongst themselves, reflecting on the implications of the Buddha's metaphor. A female disciple, sitting on the edge of the group, spoke softly. Master, does this mean focus is more important than knowing everything? The Buddha gazed at her kindly. Indeed, knowledge without focus is like sunlight scattered. Focused attention is sunlight concentrated, capable of ignition. What should we focus on, Master, with so much demanding our attention? She asked, her voice steady yet searching. Focus on what aligns with compassion, wisdom, and understanding, the Buddha replied. Let these values guide your choices. Does that mean we should ignore everything else, Master? Another disciple inquired, leaning forward with visible concern. The Buddha shook his head gently. Not ignorance, but discernment. Take what serves your path. Leave what clouds your clarity. A soft breeze stirred the leaves around them, carrying a serene silence as the disciples absorbed the teachings deeply. Ananda spoke again. Master, if we choose selectively, how do we avoid becoming isolated or disconnected from the world? The Buddha's gaze softened. Selective discernment is not withdrawal. It is cultivating a garden, choosing seeds that nourish all beings. A harmonious garden thrives, he continued, when we give attention to what truly matters, without letting weeds overrun it. Ananda bowed his head. I understand, Master. I will cultivate my garden of thoughts with mindfulness and intention. The Buddha rose, walking toward the stream, his movements deliberate and fluid, as though embodying his teachings. His voice carried over the gentle sounds of flowing water. Mindfulness is the path, intention is the tool, and wisdom is the fruit. The disciples followed him, their steps lighter, their hearts gaining clarity as though the swirling river within had stilled. But Master, I ventured again. What if the other party refuses reconciliation? Is pausing still enough to heal what has broken? The Buddha's smile grew ever so slightly, his wisdom welling like an ocean that seemed infinite yet entirely accessible. Not every soul, he said, is ready to release anger. The lotus thrives in mud, he continued, yet remains unsoiled, its petals reflecting purity despite its surroundings. The world and its information, he added, is the mud. Your discernment and focus allow you to rise above it. A profound stillness enveloped the group, the disciples' faces illuminated by the Buddha's words and the morning light. One final question arose. Master, will the river of thoughts ever cease entirely? A disciple asked, gazing at the stream. The Buddha turned to the stream, his voice calm. The river flows endlessly, but peace lies not in stopping it. He looked at them each, his expression serene. Peace lies in your relationship with it. Through mindfulness and wisdom, the disciples bowed as one, gratitude filling the air like an unspoken prayer. Thank you, Master, they murmured in unison. The Buddha smiled, turning his gaze to the horizon. Go now and practice. The path to clarity begins with each step you take. The disciples dispersed slowly, their hearts lighter, their minds calmer, carrying the Buddha's words as their guiding light. The stream continued its flow, carrying silt and clarity together, reflecting the eternal rhythm of life and learning. Another day, the Buddha gathered his disciples beneath the shade of an ancient banyan tree. The air cool and still. Sariputta approached, bowing deeply, his face clouded with concern. Master, my efforts to retain teachings falter, leaving my mind barren. The Buddha gestured for Sariputta to sit, his voice calm. Sariputta, describe what you see in your mind's eye. Sariputta hesitated, then spoke. Master, my mind feels like a cracked pot. Wisdom seeps away, leaving emptiness where understanding should remain. The Buddha reached for a clay pot near his seat. its surface chipped and worn. Observe this pot, Sariputta. Sariputta studied the pot, noticing its imperfections. Master, its cracks seem small, yet it cannot hold even a single drop of water. The Buddha nodded. A pot with cracks cannot serve its purpose. Likewise, a mind with gaps cannot hold wisdom. The Buddha smiled, his expression full of compassion, his voice returning to guide the merchant's newfound understanding further. Words, he said, carry power. Indeed, but silence creates the space from which wisdom and truth arise unclouded by impulse. See how clay fills these gaps, he continued. Your mind is mended through practice, focus, and stillness. Like clay, effort seals the gaps of distraction. Sariputta bowed his head in contemplation. The disciples murmured their agreement, each reflecting on moments where silence had offered them clarity before decisive action. The merchant remained seated, his curiosity transformed into reverence, his questions now shaped by a genuine desire for wisdom. Effort is not a single act, Sariputta. It is sustained by intention. Intention? Sariputta repeated, his voice uncertain. What intention must we hold, Master? To strengthen our fractured minds? The Buddha gestured toward a nearby candle. Intention is like a flame, guiding you through darkness. Without it, effort wavers and weakens. I remained by the Buddha's side, my own thoughts swirling with the challenge of integrating silence into meaningful communication. The Buddha spoke again, his voice reaching me with the familiar warmth and steadiness that guided us through countless lessons. Without intention, effort dissipates like wind scattering ashes from a fire. The Buddha smiled gently. Yes, intention provides purpose, and purpose strengthens effort. Together, they transform weakness into resilience. A younger monk, seated nearby, raised his voice timidly. Master, even with effort and intention, my thoughts slip away. What should I do? The Buddha turned to the monk, his tone patient. Imagine planting a seed in fertile soil. Will it grow overnight? Number. Master, the young monk replied, shaking his head. The seed needs time, care, and nourishment to flourish. The Buddha nodded. Nourishment comes from focused practice. Patience allows wisdom to take root, even within a restless mind. Another monk spoke, his voice tinged with doubt. Master, what if we fail? What if our efforts bear no fruit at all? The Buddha looked at him kindly. Failure is not the absence of fruit. It is merely another step toward understanding and growth. He paused, letting the silence settle. Each failure teaches you where cracks remain, where effort and intention must be strengthened. The disciples murmured softly, the weight of the Buddha's words settling upon them like morning dew on leaves. A female disciple leaned forward, her expression thoughtful. Master, how do we distinguish between wisdom and distractions when everything seems interwoven? The Buddha gestured toward a bird perched on a distant branch. Observe the bird as it chooses seeds from the ground. The disciple watched the bird peck selectively, leaving some seeds untouched. The bird takes only what nourishes it, leaving the rest behind. The Buddha smiled. Your mind must act like the bird, discerning what nourishes wisdom and leaving distractions where they lie. The disciple nodded, her face brightening with clarity. Master, discernment is the key to cultivating wisdom amidst abundance. I will practice this. The Buddha turned to the group, his voice firm yet gentle. Each of you holds the potential to mend your minds. He gestured to the cracked pot once more. A mended pot holds water. A mended mind holds wisdom, strength, and peace. Sariputta bowed deeply. Master, your teachings shine light upon my struggles. I will nurture my mind with effort, intention, and patience. As we navigate the rivers of life, let us remember the lesson of Dhamma. Buddha said, let us find resilience in our ability to adapt, to let go, and to embrace the flow. Each step, no matter how small, brings you closer to wholeness. The disciples sat in quiet reflection, the Buddha's words resonating within their hearts like ripples on a still pond. The wind rustled the banyan leaves, carrying with it a sense of renewal. As though nature itself affirmed the teachings, the Buddha rose, his movements deliberate and serene. Remember, wisdom is not a destination. It is the journey of understanding itself. He turned toward the horizon, his silhouette framed by the golden light of dawn. Go now and walk your paths with purpose. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video. Another day, the Buddha walked along a lotus pond, his disciples following silently, their hearts heavy with unresolved questions. A disciple approached him, bowing deeply. Master, the world overflows with knowledge, yet we cannot find clarity amidst its chaos. The Buddha paused, his gaze falling on the serene lotus flowers blooming in muddy waters. Tell me, what do you see here? The disciple studied the lotus flowers carefully. Master, they rise above the mud, their petals untouched, their beauty pure and radiant. The Buddha smiled gently. Yes, these lotuses thrive in the mud, yet they do not allow it to taint their essence. He knelt beside the pond, dipping his hand into the water. The mud nurtures their roots, yet the flowers reach for the light. A younger disciple asked, his voice trembling, Master, what does this mean for us? Surrounded by the world's overwhelming complexity? The Buddha turned to him calmly. The world is the mud, rich with potential and distractions, both supporting and obscuring your path. He added, the light is wisdom, clarity, and compassion. Your task is to rise toward it without rejecting the mud below. A female disciple stepped forward, hesitantly. Master, how can we rise above the mud without being consumed by its weight? The Buddha gestured to the lotus stems. See how their stems remain strong, rooted deeply, yet holding the flowers aloft. He continued, strength comes from discernment and intention. Root yourself in values, and you will rise above distractions like the lotus. The disciples nodded, their expressions thoughtful. As they considered the balance between the mud and the light, Ananda spoke with curiosity. Master, does this mean the mud is necessary for growth, even as we strive to transcend it? The Buddha nodded slowly. Yes, Ananda, without challenges, there is no growth. Mud shapes you while the light guides your transformation. Sariputta asked quietly. Master, does clarity mean rejecting the world and its distractions entirely, to avoid being overwhelmed? The Buddha shook his head gently. Clarity does not come from rejection, Sariputta. It comes from engagement guided by discernment and mindfulness. He gestured toward the rippling pond surface. See how the water reflects the sky when still. So does clarity reflect truth within calmness. A monk raised a question with concern. Master, what if the mud clouds our vision entirely, leaving us unable to see the light? The Buddha gazed at the murky waters thoughtfully. Even when the water is unclear, the lotus grows unwaveringly. Trust your roots and your purpose. He added, the mud may obscure your vision temporarily, but it cannot prevent growth when your values remain steadfast. The disciples murmured softly, reflecting deeply, the Buddha's metaphors weaving a sense of hope and purpose into their minds. A disciple spoke hesitantly. Master, how do we know which knowledge uplifts us and which clouds our clarity further? The Buddha picked up a small stone, tossing it lightly into the pond. Observe the ripples it creates in the water, he explained. Wisdom uplifts, creating ripples of clarity and peace. Distractions sink heavy, disturbing calmness without nourishing understanding. The disciple watched the ripples fade, understanding the weight of discernment in seeking knowledge that nourishes wisdom. A female disciple asked quietly, Master, how do we cultivate such discernment in a world overflowing with voices and opinions? The Buddha gazed at her steadily. Discernment grows through mindfulness and meditation, like sharpening a blade through deliberate practice and patience. He gestured toward the lotus petals. These petals open gradually, unfolding with time. So does discernment reveal clarity through persistent effort. Ananda spoke again. Master, if the mud nurtures us, should we welcome distractions and chaos, even if they feel overwhelming? The Buddha smiled gently. Do not welcome chaos, Ananda. Embrace what nurtures growth while remaining untainted. Like the lotus amidst the mud. He added, balance is the key. Engage with the world without losing yourself within it. Rising toward clarity with intention. Sariputta knelt before the Buddha, his voice filled with gratitude. Master, your teachings illuminate the path. I will strive to become like the lotus. The Buddha placed his hand lightly on Sariputta's shoulder. Walk with patience, Sariputta. Transformation is not instant but arises through deliberate steps. He continued, your roots must hold firm in values, allowing wisdom to bloom naturally, like a lotus reaching the light. From that evening onward, you practiced letting go, releasing thoughts into life's currents like leaves to the river's embrace. Each moment brought clarity and freedom. Guided by the teachings of the Buddha, he turned back briefly, addressing his disciples. Remember, clarity is not the absence of mud. It is rising above it with purpose. The disciples followed him, their steps steady, their minds quieter, carrying the Buddha's words as their guiding light. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video. With each act of kindness, liberation grows closer, illuminating your heart. The disciples bowed deeply. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.